Morning, beautiful people, football degenerates, and anyone who has ever described a 19-year-old American midfielder as the next big thing after watching 14 minutes of a preseason friendly. Welcome back to Monday Morning Centerback, the show where we check the pulse of the national team to make sure we haven't flatlined as a footballing nation. Because the 2026 World Cup has come and gone, the bunting is down, the fireworks for the celebration of America's World Cup final victory have been returned. And now comes the truly terrifying part of international soccer, the club season. Today, we're ranking the 5 USMNT players who most desperately need a big 2026-27 season in Europe. Not necessarily the 5 best Americans, the 5 Americans for whom the next 9 months could dramatically change the conversation. 5 men, 5 European clubs, 5 opportunities to either kick down the door or continue standing politely outside of it. So, without further ado, let us enter the American soccer pressure cooker. Number 5, Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman is one of those players who makes you feel slightly irresponsible for not believing it. Because every few months, he does something that makes you think, oh, there he is. And then he disappears back into the football fog. Tillman arrived at Bayer Leverkusen from PSV for serious money and put together a respectable first Bundesliga season. 6 goals and an assist in 29 league appearances. But he never quite became the attacking force Leverkusen hoped they were buying. And that is why 26-27 matters. This is no longer, can Malik Tillman become a really good player? It is, can Malik Tillman become a really important player? There's a difference. We know that he has the touch. We know he has the size. We know there's a little bit of the secret soccer sauce in there. Now we need to see the sauce to be served every Sunday. And the biggest danger is that Tillman becomes a player who is perpetually described as having all the tools. This season from Tillman, I want regular starts, double-digit goal contributions, more responsibility and possession, and most importantly, a season where you're watching Leverkusen and thinking, oh, Malik Tillman is one of our guys. That is a leap. Verdict, pressure level, 3 flames out of 6. Not crisis, not existential, but this is the season where the promise needs to start sending invoices. At number 4, Christian Pulisic. Yes, Christian Pulisic. I can already hear the comment section. How can the best American player of his generation be under pressure? Because, dear viewer, that is what happens when you become the American football equivalent of a public utility. Pulisic doesn't merely play football. He is still the one player you know on USMNT if you're a casual fan. Pulisic remains at Milan, where he has already become one of the club's leading attacking figures. Milan lists him with 42 goals and 134 appearances for the club. But last season ended with a whimper. Injuries, a goal drought, a disappointing World Cup, and now a new season, a clean slate, and an enormous opportunity. Pulisic doesn't need to prove he's talented. He needs to remind everyone what Pulisic at full velocity looks like. The Pulisic who runs directly at defenders. The Pulisic who arrives at the back post. The Pulisic who scores goals that make you forget the Belgian debacle. There's another fascinating subplot here. At 27, Pulisic is entering the part of his career where potential becomes a very boring word. We know what he can be. Now let's see the finished product. If Pulisic has a monster year at Milan, this conversation changes immediately. If he has another stop-start campaign, suddenly people start wondering whether his American football story has already peaked, which is crazy, and yet this is football. We're all a little bit crazy. Verdict on the pressure, 4 flames out of 6. Not because Pulisic is falling off, because the standard has become Pulisic being Pulisic. Number 3, Fuller Balogun, the American striker. We have spent approximately 7 geological eras discussing who should be the USMNT's number 9. And now we have a guy who just needs to keep scoring goals. Balogun had his best season at Monaco in 25-26, staying healthy and earning the club's MVP award from supporters. But now the stakes are different because after the World Cup, Balogun has become an object of desire. Tottenham have reportedly discussed a potential move, while Barcelona and Aston Villa have been linked, which creates a nice little football problem. Does he stay and become the guy at Monaco, or does he move to a bigger club and become one of the several guys? Because this is the great American striker paradox. You want your striker at Real Madrid until he's at Real Madrid, and you would like him to occasionally touch the football. Balogun's task is wonderfully simple: score. Score in Ligue 1, score in Europe, score against good teams, score ugly goals, score beautiful goals, score the sort of goals that make the opposition goalkeeper look helpless. Because if Balogun puts together a 20-plus goal club season, suddenly the USA has something it hasn't had consistently enough: a terrifying striker. And if he doesn't, the striker debate starts to bubble up again, like a sequel nobody asked for. The verdict on pressure is 4 flames out of 6. The talent is established. Now we need the consistent goals. Number 2, Giovanni Reina. Oh, Gio, my brother in football, my prince of the half space, my beautifully gifted, perpetually intriguing American football question mark. This is it. This is absolutely it. Reina has left Borussia Gladbach and joined Strasbourg on a permanent deal through 2031. The reported fee is around 3 million euro. And honestly, I love this move because Gio doesn't need another season where everyone talks about what he could be. He needs minutes, rhythm, a manager who believes in him, and ideally fewer visits to the medical trainer than to the training ground. At Gladbach, he made only 19 Bundesliga appearances amid recurring injuries and struggled to establish himself. So Strasbourg represents something beautiful: a reset, not a demotion, a reset. This is where Gio gets to answer the question we've been asking since he was approximately 17 years old. What happens when Gio Reyna actually gets to play football for an entire season? Because the technical ability is not the question, the vision is not the question. The question is, can we get 30 plus meaningful appearances? Can he stay healthy? Can he produce? Can he make Strasbourg think, why on earth did we only pay 3 million euros for this guy? If the answer is yes, suddenly Reina isn't a cautionary tale. He's a comeback story. And football loves a comeback story, especially when the comeback story has a filthy left foot. Verdict: 5 out of 6 flames in the pressure cooker. This isn't about being a superstar, it's about becoming the player we know he can be. And number 1, Yunus Musa. Yes, Yunus Musa. I will tell you why. Because Musa's problem is not that we don't know what he can do, it's that we still don't know exactly what he is. Is he a 6, an 8, a winger, a very handsome man who occasionally runs 40 yards with the football and then has absolutely no idea what to do next? The answer at various points has been yes. Musa joined Milan as one of America's most exciting young midfielders, but his club future has remained uncertain, with reports of interest from elsewhere after his loan spell at Atalanta. And that makes 26-27 absolutely pivotal, because this should be the season when Musa stops being a collection of traits and becomes a player with a defined identity. You cannot spend your entire career being really athletic, really technical, really versatile. Eventually, someone has to say, Yunus Musa is really good at fill in the blank. And then you can build around it. That is the assignment. Because if Musa finds that role, suddenly the USA midfield looks different. A powerful ball carrier, a player who can escape pressure, a guy who can take the ball 40 yards up the pitch and make the opposition midfield look like it's buffering. That's an enormous weapon. But if another season passes where we're still saying, interesting player, not sure where he fits, then we have a problem. And that is why he gets the number 1 spot. Verdict: 6 out of 6 flames in the pressure cooker. Honorable mentions: before you yell at me in the comments, yes, I got Tyler Adams, Tim Weah, Chris Richards, Anthony Robinson, and Tanner Tessman. Those guys aren't necessarily entering 26-27 with the same existential question marks. Adams has established himself at Bournemouth. Richards is a Premier League starter. Robinson is Robinson. McKenzie is doing McKenzie things. The five we discussed, their seasons could fundamentally alter how we think about them. So, your Monday morning center back five to watch this season: Malik Tillman, Christian Pulisic, Fuller and Balogun, Gio Reyna, and Yunus Musa. 5 Americans, 5 very different problems. One very hopeful football season. And if even 3 of these guys absolutely explode in 26-27, well, America may have some momentum start to build after the heartbreaking World Cup exit. This has been Monday Morning Centerback. We'll see you next Monday. Go, go, USA!